Okay, this is Kal Kat, the Kal Caster, and this is a quick review of Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, The Convert. Leia Kane and Pershing in it. Mandalorian and Katie Sackhoff's character escaped the planet only to be chased by imperial ships toward the moon, and then the moon on the other planet is they devastate the castle, and flee off into space, and then they're gonna go hide somewhere where they won't find them. And then we switch immediately to Coruscant, the imperial planet, former imperial planet, now the New Republic planet, where on Coruscant Mandalorian 3. They cut to what essentially is about the Imperial Grunt and the troublemakers on the planet, and it's Brazil. It's literally Terry Gilliam's Brazil. That's literally what they're doing. I suppose they think they're being very original, but they're not. Brazil was an 80s movie about a dystopian future where the government made paper pusher guys and stuff into a sort of a dark comedy movie, where they made them into grunts for their organization, and secretly everybody was actually in on the gag. At the end, ending with him losing his mind to the mind machine, and then they zap his mind because, in the original Brazil, he's going crazy through the whole thing. He's imagining things happening. Not the case with this one so much, is they're just going on an adventure together. But I suspect the director only saw the American version of Brazil, with the cut-out ending where the girls get, and then added the part with the mind sifter machine, not realizing that actually that's in the original British version. In the original British cut of Brazil, he doesn't end up happily ever after and escaping. He ends up going mad, goes crazy, and they put him in the mind sifter, and then he's like, his mind is gone, just gone. Yeah. So this one actually copies the British Brazil, and also it's reminiscent of another movie called Clockwork Orange. It's also reminiscent of Clockwork Orange because he was a former bad guy, scientist dude, and he was doing bad things, and that one was a former terrorist in Brazil, but I mean, not a terrorist. Not in Brazil. In Clockwork Orange, he's a terrorist, gang member terrorist who was zapped through a TV mind machine to make him complacent. By showing him violence, it makes him less violent. Another dark comedy, horror, sort of, more of a horror movie. Not for kids. Yeah. So this is kind of the same idea, and it's interesting that the New Republic would have a mind sifter at all, because and they should know that she's gonna mess with it and be all evil and stuff, because that's gonna happen. I mean, all the minute he goes into these Disney shows are really obvious. It's like, okay, he goes into this dark place, and it's so they go into they send him into this rehabilitation thing. It's clearly like a trap. And clearly the lady in it is obviously a bad guy, and she's going to turn on him. And it's not just having seen years ago Clockwork Orange in Brazil, but also it's really obvious. And why did they suddenly shift to Coruscant, the New Republic, in this other story that has nothing to do with the Mandalorian at all? Because the book ends with the Mandalorian going back to at the end, he goes back to his people, and he says he's got the waters. She rescued him from the water, so him and Katie Sackhoff's character are now Mandalorians again. But the show could end right here. So why did they bother with this other backstory of, actually the New Republic has evil people in it now that trick debilitated grunts into being killed by mind machines. Well, although granted, she messes with it at the end and kills him, but still, it's like why they're evil. They're acting evil. Why would they be doing that? That doesn't make sense. But yeah, because they had to put them somewhere. Ha ha ha. So yeah, you have this sort of weird. This is an odd choice for an episode. It's like they're acting. They have a mind sifter, similar to there was an old Buck Rogers episode about that as well. There was also an old Star Trek episode about that. The bad guys had Kirk hooked up to a mind device. Very classic Star Trek episode about that. Yeah. So yeah, I think Next Generation also did that. And there was a cutscene from Generations that did that to Geordi, but but it was a cutscene. So, yeah. But yeah, yeah, and it's Katie O'Brien. That, interestingly enough, but yeah, it's the bad guy chick, bad guy girl. I don't think she's supposed to be related to anybody from in the future necessarily, because it's supposed to be like before Rey and Finn and all that, but after Return of the Jedi. It's supposed to be like 5 years, 6 years after Return of the Jedi. But the prequels are 3 decades later. Or the sequels are 3 decades later. Yeah, it's a little odd. Very reminiscent of those 2 movies that I mentioned. Of course, the magazines and the trades seem to be like, oh, what an original idea. I was like, no, it's not. It's Brazil. And Clockwork Orange. They just together. That's the plot of those 2. Even to an extent, the 2 bookends, because the bookends at Brazil and that one is also similar. Yeah, they probably saw the American ones. The American version of Brazil, they cut the ending off, including the end credits, and just have them like run off together. The infamous "Love Never Fails" ending, but that isn't actually what happened in the movie. No, he gets captured, and it was all a dream. He didn't really escape, and then he's just stuck in the mind machine. He dreamt the entire thing. So, yeah, so it's the reverse of the incident at Owl Creek Bridge, which is another classic Twilight Zone episode, in which someone is actually dying in the story, hanging in there, dreaming all this other escape and everything from being the gallows. And at the end, it's just a few seconds before their brain dies. He's dead. Which should have been the ending of Lost. It was the ending lot. They changed it because all the fans were guessing. That's how they're going to have to end this. They're going to have to say the guy in the plane and all that. All that whole series was just them in the plane, Lost, ending, boom. Yeah, and it was all in his head as he was dying. They didn't do that. They didn't go there. They said, oh, you guys figured it out. We're not going to do that. And they made up this ridiculous ending. Here it's kind of similar in that they kind of... Yeah, you would think the heroes would be... Yeah, they try to break into an imperial ship or something. Yeah, they're jumping the train cars and stuff. Escaping to the lab. Reminiscent of that other thing. Kind of strange. Yeah, so... anyway. Yeah.